6 minutes after 11 is the time. Okay, so we've done an hour on Truss. I don't know. We'll probably move on, but don't go to the shops yet if you're waiting to talk to me about that. Because I want to talk about Sunak next. The announcement from the other leadership contender yesterday, who is lagging behind Liz Truss on a really huge scale. The Foreign Secretary has extended her lead over Rishi Sunak by 34 points. His announcement yesterday is in many ways stranger than Liz Truss's. Liz Truss's was just awful, and then she disowned it, and then she lied about it, as we've established. But Rishi Sunak's big thing yesterday appears in the Telegraph today under the headline, "Hatred of Britain will be treated as extremist under Sunak plans." Now, I'm a great believer in free speech. I think it would be wrong for people who talk about Londonistan or claim that Britain has been overrun by dark-skinned people, or any of those characters who apparently hate Britain, any sort of far-right characters who claim that their country has gone to the dogs, or that having a Muslim mayor is some sort of disaster. I don't know that they should actually be locked up. But equally, I'm pretty confident they're not the people that Rishi Sunak is talking about. So who is he talking about? Let's try and work it out. I'll read you the Telegraph story. People who vilify Britain will be treated as extremists and referred to the government's de-radicalisation prevent scheme under plans by Rishi Sunak. The Tory leadership contender said last night that he planned to widen the definition of extremism to include those with an extreme hatred of Britain. They could then be placed on prevent. However, the move could provoke a backlash because it risks law-abiding citizens who may be critical of Britain but do not have extremist tendencies. So the Chancellor's camp moved last night to claim that it wouldn't involve any criticism of the government or any government policy. I want to know what you think it means, because I haven't got a clue. There's talk of British values, so we'll probably have a look at what they are supposed to be. But let me give you some more. There is no more important duty for a Prime Minister than keeping our country and our people safe. Whether redoubling our efforts to tackle Islamist extremism or rooting out those who are vocal in their hatred of our country, I will do whatever it takes to fulfil that duty. Britain is a beacon of freedom, tolerance and diversity. I mean, Liz Truss's stuff was bonkers enough, wasn't it? But this is a fella saying, yeah, I'm going to treat you like a terrorist if you say mean things about the country. And in the same breath saying Britain is a beacon of freedom, tolerance and diversity. They're deporting people to Rwanda for the crime of being desperate and dispossessed and stateless. But Britain is a beacon of, or rather they're trying to, because the European Court of Human Rights has kicked that one back into the long grass for Priti Patel as well. Britain is a beacon of freedom, tolerance and diversity. We must never let those who seek to undermine and destroy our way of life to succeed. Well, I can agree with the last bit. And I guess that there is diversity in the Conservative Party. There was diversity in the leadership election, as long as everybody agreed that there's no such thing as racism and that you don't need to do work on diversity. Jacob Rees-Mogg soiling himself again on the television yesterday when he said to an interviewer, well, apparently there's something called "Yo, check my privilege." What on earth is that all about? And the interviewer just replied, well, I think it's about checking your privilege. It's quite a good moment, actually. It's worth looking up. So, listen, there's a leadership election on, and the decision is taken by a tiny percentage of the population. So that's why we're talking about this stuff. It's not that it is particularly interesting per se, but these are the stalls being set out by the two human beings one of whom will be our next Prime Minister. And we have no choice, given the nature of the system that makes that decision, than to look at these stories through the lens of the electorate. On this programme, we have a particular problem with that fact, given that they seem peculiarly allergic to ringing me. But hey-ho, I live in hope. 0345 6060 973 is the number you need if you want to tell me why you don't care that Liz Truss is a massive liar, or what on earth Rishi Sunak is appealing to in you when he talks about locking up people who are mean about Britain, while also describing Britain as a beacon of freedom, tolerance and diversity. So there's a question about what That's what I want you to tell me. What do you think he is doing? You can be as warm and as admiring or as cynical and as sceptical as you like, but one of the two contenders to be our next Prime Minister has given a newspaper a story which involves the claim that people who vilify Britain will be treated as extremists. Now, given that the Conservative Party is responsible for turning Britain into the first country in history to impose economic sanctions on itself, given that the Conservative Party still considers it to be a cause for celebration that we have abolished our own freedom of movement, given that the Conservative Party is a place now where denying the very existence of racism is rewarded and where epic incompetence and nation-damaging stupidity can see you promoted into Secretary of State status, I don't know what this means. I mean, who's vilified Britain more in the last few years than Boris Johnson? Who's made us look more ridiculous on the world stage than the current government? Who has lied to us more than Boris Johnson and now Liz Truss? What does Rishi Sunak mean? To whom is he appealing? What is this vilifying Britain of which he speaks? Hit the numbers now, you will get through. And I'm going to tell you something that I probably shouldn't tell you. I'm not sure I'm going to get any calls this hour because I think this is such a ridiculous, cynical, confected policy that nobody listening to this programme is going to be able to explain what it's about any more than Rishi Sunak could. Who is he talking about? 0345 6060 973. What is Rishi Sunak doing when he tells Daily Telegraph readers that hatred of Britain will be treated as extremist? Because nobody seems to hate Britain more than the far right in this country, than the white supremacist strand of British politics. They absolutely hate it. The kind of people that used to ring me to tell me they were voting Brexit because there were so many brown faces behind the tills in their local Tesco. Who's he talking about? What does hatred of Britain look like in the context of Rishi Sunak's strange dreams? Hit the numbers now, you will get through. 0345 6060 973. To whom, what is the appeal of this policy? I don't quite get it. Should I be worried? I criticise the government while loving this country, and it's the people who've damaged my country that I hold the greatest resentment towards. But that's Rishi Sunak. The people who presided over a catastrophic coronavirus handling. It got better as time passed, but skipping 5 Cobra meetings. How many people are dead as a direct consequence of Boris Johnson's incompetence? The absence of clarity. Am I allowed to say that? Oh yes, you won't get into trouble for actually criticising the government or any government policy. So what will I get into trouble for? What is he talking about? 0345 6060 973. Is this a scary or a stupid policy, or possibly a little bit of both? I don't know. All I do know is that Rishi Sunak thinks that Daily Telegraph readers, therefore Conservative Party members, will lap this up. However, sources in the Sunak camp said he believed extremists did not just want to attack the UK's values, but also the country's very existence. So let's do this as well. We've had some fun with Liz Truss in the first hour. What do you think British values are in the mind of Rishi Sunak and his supporters? And I mean that most sincerely, because I don't know anymore. I would once have said family values, but he was Chancellor under Boris Johnson, who has the morals and the sexual behaviours of an alley cat. So it's not family values. Boris Johnson went to court to try to stop us finding out about the existence of one of his own children. That ain't family values. He's already on his third wife. God knows how many mistresses he's had over the years. Rishi Sunak was his Chancellor of the Exchequer. So I don't know what these values are. It's not the rule of law, because they boast about being prepared to break the rule of law. It's not an independent judiciary, because they nod along with the Daily Mail's attack upon judges under headlines like enemies of the people. I genuinely want you to tell me what you think Rishi Sunak thinks British values are. 0345 6060 973. Because I think it's one of those things that is skin deep. I think it's just sort of people wearing red trousers and marching around in gilets. They talk about British values in the same way that they talk about political correctness. And the minute you ask them what it means, They haven't actually got a clue, because everything they come up with, I'm pretty confident, and do take this as a challenge, 03456060973. I'm pretty confident that every time you tell me what you think a British value is, I can prove to you that the current iteration of the Conservative Party is actually opposed to it. So what on earth is he talking about? It's 11:16.